You know, I wish I could come up here and say, here are the 3 things that if we did, it would solve the problem. It doesn't exist. Because to some degree, it's different depending upon which population you're beginning to address, what geographical area of the country you're in. I remember the day I walked back into my office in North Carolina's numbers had come out on graduation rates. I'm somewhat, this is off the record if there's any media in the room. And Celia started down the list for me, and she was starting with the best. I said, no, I want to know the worst. And the worst performing high school had a graduation rate of just over 50% that year. Now, my first question was, who got fired? Much to my surprise, the answer was nobody. And why don't people get fired with a result like that? It's real simple. It's because nobody's outraged about it. If they were outraged, they would make a change. Now, I have no idea who the superintendent is of the school system there. I have no idea who the teachers or the principals are. And I realize that I'm making a statement based upon a very general overall observation. But why aren't more people in this country outraged? Why aren't they searching for the solution? You know, the problem to some degree with the graduation challenge that we have is that we as activists, and I include myself in this group, haven't reached out to business. You might say, why should business care? Business should care because this is their future workforce. Businesses across this country make economic decisions on where they invest money based upon where the future pool of their workforce is. I think that's why they're leaving California fairly significantly right now. Say that in all compliments to California. It's that they can't produce more kids out of their education system, higher education. And because of that, North Carolina and Massachusetts and others are beneficiaries of it. Think of the effects we could have on their business if we increase by 30% the number of kids that we put into the system. It's not to say that when children don't graduate on time that they don't go on to higher education. But the likelihood is that delay interrupts the ability to learn or the ability to excel to the levels that potentially they could if there wasn't that interruption. So as I've gone around and I've talked to business, and I've said, you should be concerned about this. You do have a dog in this fight. That's the only way that they're going to stay in the United States of America in the future relative to the core of their business and not forced to go to a country that only wins because of size. If we want to win long term, it means that we have to put 100% of our kids up against the rest of the world. 100% of our kids have to have the tools, the expertise to innovate, to create, and to outproduce everybody else. That's something we can accomplish. But I'm not sure that we can accomplish it if we can't reach outside of the worlds that we currently have this debate in about high school graduation rates and share the outrage that we have, the concerns that we have, with the people who it really will impact in the years to come. If you don't see the business side of it, let me just suggest this to you. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing for this country to do. I can't tell you how many times I've been to the White House, and there's no bigger advocate of No Child Left Behind than I am with some changes. And I have put those changes in legislation and introduced it, so I'm not a bashful United States senator. But I've sat at the White House and tried to explain to Secretary Spellings and actually to the President that though K through 8 is vitally important to the successful outcome of graduation, K through 8 doesn't buy the business community in. K through 8 doesn't buy the community in. K through 8 buys the outraged parents, teachers, and superintendents, but that's the size of the group. And if that's what we limit ourselves to, we may make incremental progress, but we will still leave some kids behind because we will never get to a goal of 100%. I've tried to encourage the President in his talks on education to talk about the high school graduation rate versus K through 8. Because there's one thing that I believe, that if you're focused on how to accomplish a goal of 100% graduation rate on time, that the first agreement you will have in the room is that you have to fix K through 8, that you have to make K through 8 work, that the fundamentals of education have to be instilled in those children for them to make it through 9 through 12 and to do it on time. So I actually think that by focusing on graduation rates, we will have less divisiveness on what the solution is to K through 8. And in fact, we will see more people in this country buy in to the belief that we have to fix the high school graduation rates. I want to thank you for the opportunity to come down and speak to you. I want to thank you for your willingness to come up and participate in this forum on education. I want to compliment those that are at the table, Michael, for the kind introduction and the work you do, for Joe and what he does for North Carolina, for Governor Wise, who we go back a number of years. We go back so far I can remember when he had hair. And you know, I'm going to tell a personal story on him, because we served together in the House, but we also happened to be at a Charlotte NASCAR race. I can't remember whether he was Grand Marshal and I was starter, or he was starter and I was Grand Marshal, but I think it was early in Bob's life of visiting NASCAR races. And he started climbing the bank of the track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now, I know all of you are not NASCAR fans, but today you are. And to watch a NASCAR race on TV really doesn't do it justice. To take a curve at almost 200 miles an hour, the bank has to be slanted about like this, or you would end up in Concord, North Carolina, as you went through the bank. And Bob decided he was going to walk up the bank. Well, you know, walking up's one thing. Think about this. You've all done it. Walking up's one thing. Coming back down is another thing. And though it was easy for Bob to figure out how to get up, Bob sat at the top of this bank at the Charlotte Motor Speedway trying to figure out how to get down. Well, let me assure you, there's only one way. And that's why he's standing today and not sitting. But Bob and I have had the opportunity to work on a lot of things. I am excited about his involvement in this issue. I'm excited about the interest that Senator Bingaman, that Senator Kennedy, that Senator Enzi show towards education. On the House side, George Miller, John Boehner, people who have been instrumental in the past, and people that, given the belief that we can accomplish something big, will in a bipartisan way come to the table and will make sure that we accomplish it. I look forward to working with you and with others as we tackle this very, very important issue. Thank you very much.